5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome everyone to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. I hope everyone is having a very happy Halloween on this snowy fucking Halloween day.
Or I guess had a happy Halloween since this will come out on Friday.
That's
but we're
true.
recording on Halloween and it is freaking snowing outside.
So pissed off.
Oh my God.
All right, so welcome everyone to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. So this is the podcast where my co-hosts and I listen to or watch all of the Cincinnati-based craft beer media available, all the content, and then we get together at our gracious podcast hosts. And today we are back at Higher Gravity Summit Park to watch the snow. Hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other podcasts. My name
Or
is
shows.
Or shows.
Yeah.
Shows. I mean, content.
Yeah.
The hosts
That's
of the other
what we're going to need to say.
content.
The host of the other shows.
Shows.
Content, yes.
Content. And I'm Marco. I'm a taproom manager here locally. And that other voice you heard belongs to the best co-host in Podcast Landia.
I am Julia, and I would never spend $10 on a plastic handle of Lord Calvert Canadian whiskey.
Whiskey. I wouldn't either.
But I would
Whiskey.
listen to a whole bunch of reviews about Lord Calvert.
I had to look it up after I listened to all those reviews. I had to look it up. I'm like,
Oh my
super
gosh.
cheap.
Oh my
Super cheap
goodness.
handle.
Amazing.
Interesting.
Plastic. You're not getting glass for $10 a
Oh,
handle.
no. Absolutely not. I'm getting $10 a handle.
And just a shout out to a non-Cincinnati, non-beer related podcast, Your Stupid Opinions. Seriously,
Hilarious.
you guys, check it out, follow it, listen to
So
it. It is
good.
two comedians not reviewing, but talking about people's reviews of things that they put on the internet. All right.
No craft beer podcast would be a good craft beer podcast if they weren't having craft beer, and we are. And also thank you to all of you who have listened and shared and followed and downloaded and smashed whatever buttons to, just to be with us on a regular basis. I truly appreciate it. Those of you who are new, thank you and welcome. Just find friends and share it with people and help us grow this into whatever it's going to be. We are happy to be here sharing this experience with you. This is why we drink, by the way. We drink for you. And so,
or
Julia,
because of you sometimes.
Sometimes. Julia, what are you drinking?
From Wolf's Ridge Brewing, I went basic today, and I am drinking their pumpkin spice variant of Daybreak, which is their coffee cream ale. They have always done amazing variants of this beer, and it's the last day in October, so I figure why not? Absolutely.
First day of snow. So.
First day of snow, too, yeah. It's fantastic. It is not super heavy on the pumpkin spice, just very light kind of touches of it to kind of amplify the fall feeling of their coffee cream ale. It's delicious. I'm very happy that I grabbed a pint of this. And, Marco, you have a seasonal favorite.
I do.
What are you drinking?
Oh my God. I have Hopslam.
Slurm.
Hopslam.
Oh, it's so good this year.
Yeah, it's good. I don't care that some people complain that it's like a craft beer nerd thing to do. It's just good.
It's a good beer, right? It's
and the other thing is, I mean, as you know, if anybody who's listened to this podcast or knows me personally knows that I don't go all stupid goo goo gaga over your adjuncted stouts that come out, for the winter warmer season. But I am here for Hopslam for show.
The honey adjuncted IPAs you are here for.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Why not?
It's good.
Cool.
Good. And it doesn't have lactose.
Another very big selling point.
If your giant adjuncted stout does not have lactose, let me know. Hit us up at Truth Beer Pod.
Oh,
and
yeah.
guess what? I'll drink it.
Hell yeah.
And if it has lactose, let me know that way I can tell the world, hey, if you can't have lactose,
Be careful with this.
don't
yes.
drink it.
Yes.
So, but anyways, I digress. Julia,
Marco,
what'd you listen to or watch? What kind of content did you take in?
I consumed 4 different pieces of Cincinnati craft beer media this
On top
week.
of everything else.
On top of everything else. It has been very busy weeks for both of us. Let's make sure that we're on the same page so we know what the hell we're going to be talking about tonight.
Okay.
Craft Parenting Pod put out a new episode.
The old CPP.
The old CPP, and you
Yeah,
know
you know
me.
me.
Or them. We
Yeah.
know them.
Yeah.
All right. And then everything else is like incredibly gnome-centric. We had another episode of Cincy Brewcast.
Yep.
We had last night, as of this recording, the Weekly Pint, which,
Yep.
I mean, again, yes, I was there. You were there. We all
was there.
know.
We were
yes.
there.
And then this week's episode, he was, again, the co-host for Brew Skies Booze News.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Do we want to start with Craft Parenting Pod just because everything else is gnome, or do we want to start with some gnome stuff and then sprinkle in a little Craft Parenting Pod in the middle? How do you want to do this?
I'm in the mood to sprinkle.
Sprinkle?
Yeah.
All right. All
I
right.
was just thinking about that. How about sprinkling?
All right. Let's start. So we're going to do this like way different than we normally do. Let's start with the
'Cause of the
Weekly Pint.
sprinkles?
Because of the sprinkles.
Okay.
The snow sprinkles.
The snow
The little
sprinkles.
ice globes that
Effing
are falling
snow.
from the side, from the sky. It looks like it stopped, but again, we don't know if it's going to pick up again. We could be
This is bullshit.
stuck here,
Snowed in.
snowed in for at least minutes,
Yeah.
judging by, street temperature and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's fine. All right, the Weekly Pint, episode 191. Can we just have a normal week?
No.
I mean, no. Yeah, I mean,
No.
pretty
there's
much.
It just snowed.
It just snowed.
So the answer is
The
no.
episode didn't start for like an hour past its start date, which that's always fine. Like that is never
That's more regular than
than the snow
Than
on
the
October.
snow.
I remember trick or treating when I was little, and it was either snowing or there was snow on the ground that we were walking through.
boo.
Yeah, I'm
On
telling you.
Halloween, boo.
I'm telling you. Pretty much normal weeks are not possible because there's just too much shit going on. Hopefully, Gnome is thinking after Beer Booze Bonks, maybe things will kind of calm down a little bit.
Sure.
And some form of normalcy will return. But I mean, really, what good is a week without some Gnome chaos? Princess.
It would be odd.
It would. Princess Nomette was in attendance.
Yes.
She was not on camera, but she had headphones. She had a microphone. She chimed in here and there.
Princess Nomad.
Princess Ganome. And I have to say, the chat, not like the chat's normally like vulgar or anything, but it felt much less. There were far fewer four-letter words than sometimes are thrown out. Again, it isn't a very
I might have cracked one on accident when I called in. I don't remember. Maybe.
I don't think you did.
No?
I don't
Okay.
think you did. No. But I mean, again, sometimes the expletives like kind of pop out as like a just for emphasis on something. But I don't think there was any last night. So good. I'm going to say good on us, on all of the
Yay,
viewers
craft
for the
beer
Weekly
community.
Pint for
Way
that.
to be adult for 20 minutes.
Well, this episode was long. It was almost an hour.
That's my
It was
bad.
like 54, 56 minutes. It's fine. It's fine. We all love when you call in.
Thank you.
Twitch rule changes suck, so Gnome is banning his show from their platform for the foreseeable future.
Right.
That's a dumbass rule. Watch to find out what exactly they wanted to do. You called in right as Gnome was cracking his beer of the night, which was one that you and I have tried.
Yeah,
Which-
the one that like in partnership with Patagonia,
Patagonia,
that Rhinegeist did.
Right, and I think you were right. It's not that it's not a bad beer, but I didn't think it was a good beer for the lager it's trying to be.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
It's fine. You can drink it. It's
Sure,
not,
sure.
It's not like you're, drinking booty sweat or anything like that.
No,
but
no.
it's
But it's definitely
booty
a-
sweat might taste better. But
The
it's
flavor
just,
profile
it's
isn't
just
what-
weird. It's sort of
If you said here's a lager and you gave it to me, I'd be like this. No, it's not. And then once you have to explain it.
it's singular noted. It's not complex. It's also not a identifiable grain taste, which is part of what they were
Right.
going for,
Sure,
because
sure.
the grain is
More sustainable
More
and all that.
sustainable,
Right.
and I'm like,
they did
well-
exactly what they wanted to do. But
Yeah.
if you put that in front of me, just completely blind, oh hey, try this. What do you think? What do you think? I'd be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's different. That's a lager. I would say bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, because and again, this is purely my thoughts on what a lager typically tastes like. It's not that. But then once you explain the process and once you explain the grain and what's going on, then you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. But I feel like for a style like a lager, you shouldn't have to explain it. And I don't know how they can get around that. I don't know what they could do differently, how they could either market it or label it on the can, whatever. But it's fine. But man, you were a little bit spicy talking to him about about your thoughts on that beer, and it was fantastic. I was cracking up. There was a bunch of conversation about what time do kids go to bed, and I don't think anyone really knew. No one really helped Noam out very much because he was a bit concerned. You know, I think my kid is supposed to be in bed by now,
that's when you go to
and
bed.
she's not.
It's like, you know what? I think they're asleep. I'm just going to go to bed.
Well, but he was talking about them. Like, what time should they be in bed? He was like, I think it's a little late for them to still be up, but I don't know. What do you guys think? And no one had a good answer. And I really do think that for small children, it's every single one's going to be different. What your kids might have done for bedtime when they were, 6, 7, 8.
You end up learning to work backwards. If they go to bed if they go to bed at 7:30, they're going to be up at 4:30. Like, well, then we can't let them go to sleep at 7:30.
Right. We have to keep them up, as cranky as they may be, until at least midnight. That way, we all get to sleep in a little bit. You get to find out in this episode what Noam typically dresses up as for Halloween.
Yes.
And little Noam chimed in to kind of confirm this is what happens. And I'm sure you all have images in your head of like these costumes. I know that I do. And once things are confirmed by the Gnome, the world makes a little more sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Fan-freaking-tastic. He had just a very small Oktoberfest Quest finale update. That episode has not posted yet. He did let people know that the video for both Cincy Brewcast and the Oktoberfest Quest finale episode may or may not happen just because of time to edit. And we know from experience the Oktoberfest Quest episode, my God, that was a thing. We had a great time. It was a good time, fantastic,
but I don't know.
But it was a thing. Once the audio of that releases, we'll talk about it more. But he kind of talked a little bit about
no spoilers.
Those. No, not at all. Most of the
and where was everybody at? I mean, we know. Oh my God,
we know who was there, and we know who wasn't there.
Exactly.
Even the people that should have been there weren't there, and it's like
some people that should have been there weren't there.
True, very.
Some people that should have been there were there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I'm just saying, point the finger at yourself.
Yes,
people.
Hey, because if you point a finger out at someone, you have 3 more fingers pointing back at you.
Wow.
Something like that. I don't know how that saying goes. I did not make that up. Don't try to give me any credit.
No, we all know you didn't make that
Good.
up.
I'm not that clever.
We all know that. It has nothing to do with you not being clever. It's just, I think we all heard that in second grade.
Yep. A big part of the discussion for this week's Weekly Pint focused around GoFundMe. Well, not necessarily GoFundMe, but the GoFundMe attempt that lasted like less than an hour by an Akron-based brewery, Arches.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any of their beer?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've had a couple. They've had some good beers, but again, they're not Cincinnati-based, so... Maybe
that's why they need $2.5 million.
I mean, if every single one of their Facebook followers contributes just $100, they'll have that. So get on it, people. All of you followers, all you fans of Arches, give them $100. And maybe they can go past 2024, the beginning of 2024.
Yeah. And then ask again.
It was a very awkward thing. The YouTube video, as the time that we're recording this, is still up.
Yay.
If it is still up when I edit this, I will put a link to it in the show notes so you can watch, the gentleman, say, this is what's happened. This is why we need your money. Contribute to our GoFundMe, which again, it's down. The campaign's down. You cannot find it on GoFundMe anymore. So whatever happened there, whatever.
Weird.
But I don't know. It's just, my thought watching the YouTube video, not that it was an incredibly extravagant video by any means, but it still took some time and some money to make. There were some graphics, some stuff that they made you could tell they made for it. I don't know, maybe take the money that you put into making that video and just put it back to paying for the loans that you now can't pay back.
Yeah, well,
I just it's the wrong way to go about it.
I don't want anyone to close. I don't want anyone to be out of a job.
No. That's
the reality is that they are going
to
have to close if they don't get a large injection of cash.
But do you think that they'll close as a brewery entirely, or maybe just one location, and by selling potentially or getting rid of the lease for one of their 2 locations, maybe that opens enough cash? I don't know. But yeah,
wouldn't you make those moves before you ask the public for $2.5 million?
I would hope so, but I mean, when you're like, no, we need to, maybe in their head they need, capital N, need to have multiple locations. And that's the only way they're going to be successful. And it's the only way that they're going to be able to start distributing out of...
It's the only way everyone's going to stay employed. But I mean, if for the health of your business, if you need to retract, a location or go down to one location to make yourself viable for the next, clip in this economic time, then make those moves before you ask people for freaking donations.
Right. And this is all speculation. Neither of us have any idea what their financial state is. I mean, maybe their locations.
I don't know. I know that if you're asking me for $2.5 million, then you must need money, and you must have decided that this is your avenue. This is the way you're going to do it.
Sure,
because you're not going to go to
a
bank and ask for money because you have loans.
They already have multiple loans. Right. But what I was saying is maybe in their second space, it's still under lease. It's still whatever. To where even if they close that down, the only money they would be able to save to put back into keeping their name open would be from the salaries of the people working there. Like, I don't know what kind of equipment's there. I have no idea. So maybe their thought process, again, maybe's hypotheticals, no freaking clue. But maybe they thought about closing one of their locations and then went, well, but we're not really making anything or spending that much on these locations outside of rent. So who knows? I don't know.
So what I would like to propose is a new spin-off capitalistic idea for you, Julia, for you to bring in a little bit more money. Because what Truth Per Pod does is just cost money. And so please go and follow Cincy Beer Events. But I think that if you had a consultant business where you just shed your positivity and shine your positivity for whoever employs you, because you're an extremely positive person. You're always looking on the bright side of things, and that's a compliment to you. This business needs money because they're in trouble.
Are my thoughts and prayers not good enough?
No.
Okay.
But however, what you say has value.
Sure.
And so I feel like you should monetize that.
I'll see what I can do. And maybe I can save our Shay.
Maybe you can.
Maybe I can.
Maybe you can. Yeah.
There was a little bit of the discussion about is this happening in Cincinnati to some of our breweries? And chances are probably.
Probably.
And I think something that a lot of people don't really, and I say people, I mean, like your average drinker, not your kind of in the weeds beer nerds, kind of like, you and I.
Not your above average drinker, the ones that are over a 6-pack a week.
Exactly. Yeah. The ones that are drinking handles of Lord Calvert's. Yes. But what I'm talking about is just your general average drinker. They like beer, they like going to the local breweries, but they really don't care about any of the in the weeds, behind the scenes, what's happening with the brewery, that kind of stuff. These loans, and I'm going to say specifically calling out some of the PPP loans from COVID, is those still have to be paid back. And we are now at that point in time to where those banks and the government and the people that gave these small businesses, not just breweries, but these small businesses money because of having to shut down during COVID, it's just now really starting to spin up like, no, you really need to start paying these back. You actually owe us money. You need to give us the money back that we gave you. And I think that's why the again, air quotes, average drinker might think, oh, well, we're kind of far enough past that kind of pandemic chaos, everything should be fine now if it's been fine. That's not the case. Some of those loans were deferred to where, you don't have to start paying them back for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever after when they determine the crisis ends.
That can has been kicked.
But it's
till the kicking is stopped.
Right, and now people are
with it.
realizing, and people, and I'm saying small businesses in general, not just craft breweries, but these smaller businesses that were able to stay afloat with these loans are all of a sudden now being faced with, okay, we managed to stay open. We're still making potentially the same amount that we did pre-COVID, but now in addition to all of those normal bills that we have, boom, we now have this extra however many hundreds, if not thousands or tens of thousands of dollars that we need to pay back. And so this is why now we might start seeing that shift of breweries, even locally, saying, we are having trouble staying afloat.
So I don't know how we're going to keep this to a reasonable time frame. If we're
there are only a few more notes on this episode. No, I don't think we should
get
super deep, but I mean it is
there's
worth
a whole
saying. Oh yeah,
big conversation about even the ripple effects of the economic climate. And I'm gonna basically stop there because we need to move on. I could probably talk a half hour to keep it short.
If we could get someone or a few people from within the brewing world, maybe someone in the distribution world, and maybe get just some people that we can have an actual bonus episode where this is the economics of craft beer is an episode in and of itself. I think we should try to do that because it is absolutely fascinating and terrifying and a much bigger conversation and deal than what I think a lot of people understand. I know that I don't even understand it anywhere near as much as the way you understand it. But it was a huge part of the weekly pint, so that's why.
Yeah, I'd like to do that probably sooner rather than later. And I think a lot of articles would use the terms doom and gloom, and really what it is just reality and right sizing and understanding the economic climate.
Yeah, and it is doom and gloom if you haven't been preparing and really taking a realistic look at things from... Yeah, even when your business open, not take the pandemic out of it. If from when your business open, hey, let's make sure that we think about a lot of different situations, a lot of potentials that can happen. Let's make sure we understand.
When I got in the business, 30% to 50% year over year growth was kind of happening. If you thought that during and after the 2020, if you thought that that sort of growth, 30% to 50% year over year, was going to happen, you're fooling yourself.
Right.
You did that to yourself. Now, if you were banking on what in business is a very healthy growth year over year, which is if somebody achieves a 10% growth year over year,
that's awesome.
They're like a rainmaker.
Yeah, no kidding.
It is a monstrous achievement. Craft beer, if you were betting on that, good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll move on, but but yeah, let's try and we know people. Let's see if we can get the people together. We got enough microphones.
Yeah, absolutely. I only had 2 other notes on this episode.
That's
they both
kind
of tied to the exact
use
same
my
thing.
Notes.
Oh, okay, cool.
There you go. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
This is
same thing.
Almost the exact same thing. Yeah, the verbiage is a little different, obviously, but we could have
switching.
No kidding. A preview of some of the beers coming to Beer Booze Bunks Boinks Binks. So it was a little bit
disappointed.
That's a button
with the preview.
That's what I thought.
Gnome said, throw out some of the breweries that are going to be at Beer Booze Bunks, and I will let you know 1 or 2 of the beers that they're going to be bringing, which was honestly just
shit.
And I only say that because 90% of the brewery names that we tossed out there that were confirmed breweries for Beer Booze Bunks, names we haven't nailed down the beers yet. Oh, we're so close to nailing down these beers.
Well, you know what?
Ooh, which of those was real? Which was part of the button? We'll never know.
You'll never know.
There were a couple of confirmations, which kind of led down to a slight rancid rabbit hole about one of the breweries that is there that maybe wasn't going to be there, and the whole gnome wanting to curate the beers and how they kind of interacted with that. It's a whole thing, but it's still going to be a phenomenal event. And this was, for all the chaos, a fantastic Weekly Pint episode because, again, it talked about a lot of things, mostly Archets, but a lot of that kind of deep dive into the craft beer industry that just on a day-to-day basis you may never hear about.
So I have a call to action surrounding Beer, Booze, and Bonks, by the way.
Buy your ticket. Beer, Booze, and Bonks. beerboozeandbonks.com.
That's right.
Yes, yours.
If somebody comes up to Julia, and I'm not going to be able to be there.
Yeah.
I'm very sad. I have a personal situation going on, so I won't be there.
Half of us will be representing, though.
Somebody finds Julia, walks up, challenges Julia to Foaling. If you beat Julia at Foaling,
that's a guaranteed.
If you beat Julia at Foaling, then you can help us with Cincy Beer Events podcast.
Ooh.
You get behind the mic, you get a headset, and you get to help us with Cincy Beer Events. Come up to Julia and challenge Julia. Said, Marco told me to challenge you in Foaling.
I'm terrified now. What is walking across this? So there are costumes. There are actual costumes walking around. Here. You see? This is so cool. I love Halloween.
Oh my
God. This is so fantastic. I'm kind of terrified. How do you know if it's terrifying.
How do you know if it's a real monster or not?
I don't know.
Kick it in the ding ding.
What? No, the Nards. What was that from? What movie was that? Wolfman's Got Nards. Monster Squad. Yeah. Monster Squad. Fucking watch Monster Squad. I think I might do that either tonight, tomorrow, if I can find if it's anywhere on the interweb somewhere. Okay. Oh my God. Fantastic. Okay. We are going way off topic.
Let's go.
That is the Weekly Pint episode 191. We cannot have a normal week. Marco, do you want to move on to? I think we're still good in our beers. So do you want to move on to?
Moving on
to Cincy Brewcast? Do you want to move on to? It's snowing again outside. Just saying that. Brew Skies or Craft Parenting Pod?
Craft Parenting Pod.
Craft Parenting Pod. All right.
That's part of the sprinkling.
I'm going to give you your notes back and my notes.
My notes.
I mean, they're pretty much the same. This is episode.
I wrote in symbols this time.
Oh, you did wingdings. Well, I wrote in cursive. Do they even do cursive anymore?
No, they quit.
Why?
Because they replaced it.
With what? Wingdings?
No, they replaced it with study hall.
Okay. If you say so. This is episode 123 of the Craft Parenting Podcast. Beer from the Back of the Fridge, Part 2. Joe is Clumsy, being the Peanut Gallery, and
Holy
more.
Shit.
I know. Look at it outside. This is
It's not
crazy.
just snowing. That's aggressive.
I told you.
That
We're
is
going to be
angry snow.
We're going to be snowed in here.
This is bullshit.
We're going to have to drink up all the wine and beer to stay warm, to survive. It's the only way to do it.
To survive.
Damon
Holy
agrees.
Shit.
Damon, he sees the snow. He wants to go outside. It's true. He's a Bernese mountain dog. He wants to be out there in the snow, in the cold. This is his weather. All right, this is going to be a shorter recap because they didn't talk a ton about the beer,
but they talked a ton.
They did talk a lot. This was another live. I saw it, I think, right as it was ending, so I jumped on right as they were signing off, and I'm like, God damn it, I missed it again. So one of these days, I will chime in from their own peanut gallery as they are, doing the YouTube live. But it was also, as always, in podcast format as well, so you have multiple ways to absorb their content. They were drinking the rest of the beers left in their beer fridge after their 100th episode. And all three of them were beers that I left because...
Good job, Julia.
And I honestly wanted to share them with everyone, but after that night, I'm like, I'm not taking them back. I don't want to see beer for a while after that. My God, that was such a fun night, but
it was a great night.
Oh my God, I'm going to have post-traumatic stress from it for quite a while.
No,
Look at the poor guy driving the four-wheeler, the Summit Park four-wheeler with no... Normally they have the plastic liners around the windshield and the windows. We have a dragon walking across the street into the park.
You like dragons?
Goblins mostly.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Back to this episode. Holty is now a proper beer descriptor
Yeah.
when you're drinking,
Holty.
your beverages. Holty.
Holty.
It's a combination of hoppy and malty. However, you want to say the O in the word Holty or Holty. Wow. I'm going to let them own that word because I apparently cannot say it.
Okay.
Hopefully, Joe is recovering from the goulash attack.
Yes, the goulash
Oh my
attack.
God. I mean, it was
The goulash attack of 2023.
Yes.
It's going to go down
It sounded
in the history books, just like Joe went
terrifying.
down.
Literally.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Another one bites the dust.
I'm glad he's, or as I feel terrible, but as I was listening to the episode, they talked about Joe's collapse. Like he literally collapsed.
Yeah.
Like in the process of the family having like goulash transportation,
Yeah. Full of like a
things
lawn chair.
happening. And in my head, I started hearing, "Let the bodies hit the floor," because they talked about there were multiple collapses in the same area.
If only we had a video, we could put that
Oh
song
my
behind
God,
it.
that would be absolutely amazing. I'm glad he's okay. Hopefully, there were still some recovery things needed. Apparently, tiny hands, ginormous feet, or ginormous ankles. They didn't go into details.
It doesn't go great for
but
transporting goulash.
No, but it sounded like everything is as okay as it can be. It doesn't sound like he's going to need a boot or anything like that.
So if somebody wants to know if it's any good, do they say, "Oh, is that good goo or is that good losh?"
That's
Oh, does Caroline
that's
make good goo?
That's a good lush question. That was terrible. Don't laugh at. Don't snicker at that. That was awful.
Just walk to the park
That was awful.
in the snow.
I think I might have to. I don't know if we're going to be able to Dora walk tonight. This might be unacceptable weather for Dora walking.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Let's see.
drive
What
somewhere.
else do we have? They talked about after the goulash attack and Joe's collapse, how they still had like almost a full day of activities that they did, and then
Yeah.
once they got home,
You just had a
there was like that
swollen
delayed
foot.
pain response. Two other notes.
Okay.
On this
Let's rip
episode,
through
and then
it.
we'll see if you have kind of the same ones. They talked a little bit about Gnome's October Quest finale,
Yeah.
finally, because they were in the peanut
there.
gallery, and it was fantastic.
Pack and Plays.
Pack and Play.
Matry
and
was
all
so
kinds-
happy to
oh
have
my
Pack
God,
and
they were
Plays
thrilled.
back. They're like,
They
Pack and Plays
were
are back.
at Matry. Phenomenal. They brought their own. They didn't buy one of Matry's branded ones, but that's okay. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Maybe Christmas is coming up.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Are they Christmas or are they?
They have to be Christmas because I don't recall
German?
seeing them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what else was there. I do have to say that
Chris Mahanaquans.
I love Chris Mahanaquan. Chris Kindle Market.
Yeah, they do.
Matry
the
needs
Chris-
to do a Chris Kindle Market, and they'll have
sell
Plays
Pack
there.
and Plays.
Why is it snowing so much? This is ridiculous. This is not right. The sun's out. The sun is shining, and it is snowing. Next thing you know, we're going to get some thunder snow.
Thunder snow.
Yeah. I do think that it was fantastic. Gnome had wireless microphones, and he told Joe and Caroline to like take one and have it
Great
back on the
move.
table and all that. Fantastic. And
That's
he's
a
like,
veteran move right there. That's
it really,
crafty.
it's like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And he pretty much said, kind of because he was facing everyone else. You and I were facing Gnome. Everyone else that was in attendance were sitting behind us. And he pretty much said, if you want to say something, I'll turn the mic up. Just kind of like wave at me or whatever. Joe, instead
They
of
just
doing
flipped
that,
the bird.
well, doesn't everyone?
Yeah, they just flipped the bird at him. They just give
Well-
him the big
well,
middle finger. He's like,
Caroline
"Oh, you
did.
want to say something?"
Caroline did. Joe just walked all the way up back to the table, like, "Hey, I want to say something." It's like, you can stay there. It's okay. You can just stay at your table and just kind of flag me down. But Lily had her first appearance on Gnome's podcast.
That's right.
And they talked about this a little bit in Craft Parenting Pod. She declared her favorite brewery.
Yeah.
So listen to this episode or watch this episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast, episode 123, to find out all the in-depth details of
Something
the things that
weird
we
about
just...
a child giving like
Their favorite brewery?
where they take their left arm and they like shove their fist in their elbow and then
yeah.
just give you the big middle finger.
Yeah, it was... She's a brewery girl. I mean,
That's what happens.
What is there? What else is there to say?
That's what happens.
Nice. All right. Do you want to go ahead and keep moving on? Are you
moving
good?
on.
All right. We have Cincy Brewcast, and we have Brew Skies.
Let's go. Let's end on Brew Skies.
And on Brew Skies, okay. So in season 9, episode 16 of the Cincinnati Brewcast.
Cincinnati Brewcast. And so for those of you at home playing the game, when we mispronounce Cincy Brewcast, we cheers and drink.
Yes.
As you should.
Absolutely. This was the Common Beer Company is anything but common. And my God, I need to get back there. The place is fantastic. And my Josh and I'm just not there nearly enough. There were more literal laugh out loud moments in this episode than there have been in the past several Cincy Brewcast episodes. And that's not a slight or anything against Cincy Brewcast, but my God, when you got Mark and Amy Lortz, Mike Parsons, and Quick Trip all
Mark
together,
Miller.
it was such a fantastic group.
By the way, not the only Mark Miller in the Cincy craft beer industry.
This is true. That's why I said Quick Trip. That way he's not confused.
I don't want anyone to be confused. If you know people in Cincy beer, you're like, oh, Mark Miller. And you're like, I know Mark Miller. And then like,
you might know the other
Mark Miller.
Right. I will say I was a little confused reading the show notes because I read the show notes for all the podcasts that I listen to.
Yeah.
I'm probably like the only person. I thought that Mark Lortz and Amy Lortz were part of the same family.
They're a union. They're a bond. They're the Lortzes.
But in the show notes, their last names are spelled differently. Slightly differently.
Ah, yes.
So I'm not entirely sure what that was all about. But either way, fantastic group of people on this episode. A lot of scooting around happening. I really hope that the video of this is able to come out. There's another Halloween costume. More Halloween costumes. Sorry, I'm so distracted because I'm facing the windows. I think she's Cher from Clueless.
Yeah.
Looking at the skirt and the pattern.
I agree.
If not, then missed opportunity.
And then we have the person from Scream.
And then what's the dragon's name? How to Train Your Dragon? Looked like the white version from How to Train Your Dragon 2. But I could be wrong because we're kind of seeing their backs as they're walking into the park. Yeah. A lot of fun, though. This is a lot of fun watching this. Common is exactly what a craft brewery should be, was kind of the main takeaway, the main opinion of this episode. I
think there was a big discussion within that Cincy Brewcast about how to weather this bumpy time in the financial landscape. And then, cascading that down to craft beer.
Right.
And what they are is they're a neighborhood space.
Yeah, they're exactly what they wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, many years ago, you always talked about the third space. They want to be the third space. And what they are is a craft brewery. It's inside's a little small, but
they have a huge
outdoor space.
Really, yeah.
They lean into the outdoor space when the weather's great. They have good space on the inside, plenty of TVs in a small area for you to be able to, watch sports or the Golden Bachelor or whatever. And then they make their own beer, and they have a great system, great setup, great brewer, and
they're friendly. They will remember your name and your favorite beer. And after the first time you walk in.
Not just friendly in that way, but friendly with the other businesses in the area trying to make a go of it, And so, I mean, one of their very first, or maybe the first time they were on Cincy Brewcast, they were with the owner of the Wildflower Cafe, which is a cafe that is, across the street.
Across the street. I was going to say, is that directly next door?
It's like feet away from them.
Yeah, yeah. And they kind of have shared, like, hey, do you happen to have any of this that we can use? Or...
so
I don't say like pop-ups, but they've shared their stuff in each other's spaces.
Yeah, and
it's a true community.
And Mikey P just provides great service, and they gave him a lot of compliments that are well deserved. But yeah, it's you make a space, you make a nice space.
There's a dinosaur outside.
Ah, there we go.
And Jason's outside. Not higher gravity Jason, but like the stabby Jason.
Well, the other person with him is dressed as higher gravity Jason.
Oh my God, he is. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
So we have Jason, and an inflatable dinosaur.
Yep.
I should have worn my inflatable dinosaur costume tonight.
It would have been a good move.
I would
almost
have.
wore
I'm sorry.
the Easter
I messed
Bunny
up.
costume that I have.
That would have been perfect. You could have been Frank from, oh shit, what's...
Five Nights at Freddy's?
No.
Oh,
The one with, God, was that Jake Gyllenhaal? Where he is...
Oh, JG?
Not trapped in time. I don't want to expose the end of the movie, but there's like a demonic bunny.
Oh,
and part of
okay.
it named Frank. Yes. If you know, you know. If you don't, Google demonic bunny Frank and you'll find it. I'm blanking on the name right now.
What else do we have as notes, Julia?
We have naming and phonetic pronunciation of beers.
Yes.
Being a lot of fun, like Dumpeluppagus.
Dumpeluppagus.
And what you talking about, Willis? And how
What you talking about, Willis?
depending on the names and how like the age of the reference.
Don't we have a Mikey something?
Yeah, I didn't write that one down though. They had
Caramel Macchiato.
Caramel Macchiato, and I don't know if they ever will have, but maybe they should have. Shut Up, Todd. If I saw a beer named
excellent.
Shut Up, Todd, I'm buying it. I don't care what it is,
it.
but I'll be like, that is a phenomenal
They should
beer
have
name.
one here at Higher
They
Gravity.
should,
Since
because they have Todd.
They have
yeah,
Todd.
yeah. Instead of Low G, I say that on days that Todd bartends,
You shut
Low
up, Todd.
G is called. Well, but Todd doesn't need to shut. Todd is like the nicest person in the whole wide
He's a
world.
great guy.
He is
That's
fantastic.
why telling him to shut up is like the
more of a
opposite
joke.
more of a
yeah.
joke.
Yeah,
Because he's a great guy and he
That's
loves
true.
to talk to people.
Yeah, he is. He is absolutely fantastic. What other notes do I have here? How important are medals? And this was the first time that I think a brewery has actually said it actually is kind of important for us. Maybe not for the brewery as a whole, but for like ownership and for the brewing staff to really confirm we are doing a good job. We are making the beers that in the styles that we are trying to make, and people are recognizing
I get
them.
that. I get that.
And I do get it, but I thought that was fantastic because a lot of the other breweries, especially around, Craft Brewers Conference, GABF, all these things, on a lot of the podcasts, they talk about how important are medals. And they're like, well, they're not really important. Well, they're not really important. But for some breweries or even parts of the breweries, like the brewers, they are.
I remember
I'm glad
this.
that they, I
I
don't say
remember
admitted
this
that, but,
quote from a famous artist named Armando. He said, "I can't feed my kids Grammys." So if you know,
But it's also nice to
it's in the music industry.
Sure,
you can't pay the bill with a
but
an
getting
award.
that award, being able to say yes, it's important to us not because it makes us who we are as a brewery, but it kind of confirms that we're doing what we set out to do. I hope that difference comes through in what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
But we have so many breweries that we talk about for the interviews that the podcast do just say, no, I mean, really, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and we know that we're good. So the medals are nice, but they don't necessarily, there's not an importance to them. Where Common said, they're not everything, but for a certain section of our employees, it is important.
I feel it's weird though because some take them so seriously
True.
that they're not willing to listen to any feedback about how maybe some tweaks or changes might need to be made.
Right. It won a medal exactly as is. It's
Right,
like,
so
well,
we
that
won a
doesn't
medal.
mean-
It's award winning. Oh, okay.
doesn't mean
so
it can't improve
All right.
still.
So you
Right,
actually,
right.
okay. So you actually don't care what we think about your beer.
Yeah.
So
Which, I mean, teach their own. It's all fine. There was a conversation about when will they open another location, which is always fun. Whenever Gnome talks to single location,
it's flattering,
breweries,
right?
Absolutely,
It's flattering. And somebody
Absolutely.
would want one of what you have open already is somewhere else,
Yeah.
or think that the success that you have should be duplicated somewhere
Mm-hmm.
else because what you have is such a great thing. So that's very flattering.
So basically, look for the Commoner Beer Company opening up on the west side in 2026-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. The commoner.
There we go. And then that kind of tied into a bit of a conversation about, does expansion equal dilution of a brewery? Does it make it less of what it is? Which I don't want to go too much into that because We still have one more show to talk about, but that part of the conversation was fantastic. Was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. Talking shit about other breweries, because that's always a thing that happens. Even though
it's always fun.
maybe it shouldn't.
I'm
Maybe it
for
should
it.
in some instances, but I feel like you have to have. There's a time and a place, and were they exposed to the right time, the right place? That could be
good.
the eternal optimist in me saying that. Some COVID talk.
Gotta monetize that. Get
and
a hold
then-
on. Only give that in small doses.
Yes.
So we're not, giving everyone the clear, uncut stuff.
Exactly.
You got to make sure
gotta-
that you hold that back a little bit.
Exactly. And be on the lookout for a Mason-specific short bus.
That's true. That was a topic.
It was absolutely
It
was.
was a topic of discussion. Nobody, they just let that comment.
Oh my
breathe.
God, they did.
Just let it.
They did. It was
and sometimes
fantastic.
that's the right move. Sometimes
Sure,
you just
sure.
gotta let a comment breathe. You just gotta, give it some space.
Yep. And then did you have any other notes? Because I actually had a count.
I don't.
All right.
Let's.
Are you ready to
Yes.
hear the number?
I am ready.
The number of times that Gnome called his kid a shithead/asshole in this episode. I listened to it twice because I'm
That's
like,
good.
he's saying this a lot. I should count these up.
Shithead asshole.
Got my clicker out, and
He's a shithead asshole.
he called his the tiniest gnome, the littlest gnome,
Yeah.
a shithead or an asshole. A total of 10 times.
And
in
at 2
this
ounces a
episode.
sip, that's 20 ounces.
Exactly.
That's how many ounces he needed to make to,
Oh my God,
totally
to
get
get
off
through.
of just blowing his kid up for being an asshole.
It was amazing. It was,
So,
Too damn
you
funny.
know what? You got to be honest with yourself. Just like sometimes breweries need to be honest with themselves.
Yeah.
Whether it's about the
Yeah.
food, about the service, about the space, or the beer itself. I mean, sometimes you got to be honest with yourself about your kids.
yeah.
Sometimes
There's nothing wrong with saying that your kid's an asshole. It's how
No.
you treat them. It's how, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sure, right. Sometimes they are little assholes.
I mean,
Nothing.
Everybody knows that family where they're defending their kid who's grown up to be an asshole, and they're like, "Oh, he would never do that," and you're like,
And you're like,
"No,
"But he
your
just
kid's
did."
the one that would do that."
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so.
All right. We have one more show to talk about.
Uno
Brew
mas.
Skies Booze News from October 30th, 2023. The hysteria about Gen Z's drinking habits or lack thereof is all wrong. Do you want to take a real quick break?
I do.
Before we start this? All right. All
I
right.
got
We have made it
back.
And Mark, I'm not sure what's in your glass. I think I know what's in your glass. I'm assuming you got another pour. No,
No, it's Sabertooth.
Sabertooth?
Sabertooth
Okay,
Tiger
okay.
from Rhinegeist, which is
Oh,
local.
fantastic.
And
That is.
double IPA.
I am
Local.
drinking something that is
Imperial
not,
IPA.
Imperial IPA. There's no longer hop juju on tap, which if hop juju's on tap, you got to get hop juju.
That's correct.
Sabertooth is a very close second for me. If it's on tap, I didn't get it tonight, but I'm pretty sure it'll be here next week. I'm hoping it'll be here next week. How's it tasting this round?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
I can taste the
Nice.
Saber. I can taste the tooth. Yeah.
Does it taste like plaque, like dental plaque at all, or is it just pure enamel?
No, it's just pure.
Okay,
It's just-
fantastic,
it's straight,
fantastic.
Yeah.
I am trying something that since I've seen this posted that Higher Gravity and other bottle shops in the area have gotten, has intrigued me. It's Untitled Arts Black Seltzer. It is the can, like the packaging is gorgeous, even though it makes it incredibly difficult to actually read what's on it.
Yeah, you don't know what the hell is going
It's like
on.
glossy black on matte black. It says Obsidian, Onyx, Midnight, Lost Soul, Rolling Blackout, Sleeping Panther, Void by Armani. And the only notes on the back of it, it's a 7% seltzer, malt beverage with, I can't say the word fruit tonight. Fruit puree, natural flavors, and certified colors. Certified colors, not... Okay.
Not those uncertified ones.
And
those
it's a
bastard
it's
uncertified
a collaboration
colors.
with Bottle Logic. When producer Nick poured this, it was like he was pouring motor oil. Like this
Yeah.
is super dark. It's definitely a dark purple color. You tried some, I tried some. This is absolutely delicious.
It's very tasty.
But I can't pinpoint exactly what's in it. I think there's like some Concord grape. I think it's just a lot of that dark red, dark purple fruit that's in this.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
super carbed at all,
very
which
tasty.
a lot of
tasty.
Yeah, a lot of seltzers are very carbed. I have not seen a seltzer this colored, like this pigmented, however you want to put that, since some of the ester versions.
Good day to have that on a snowy Halloween.
Fantastic. All right. We have one show left to talk about.
Let's do it.
And it is another one that Gnome is a huge part of.
Huge.
It is Brew Skies Booze News, the episode that came out on October 30th of 2023. The hysteria about Gen Z's drinking habits, or lack thereof, is all wrong.
Yeah. That's the name of the long name of the booze news.
Yes. And you might be asking, why is Gnome part of this again? Well, because Brett is still catching malaria or recovering from malaria out in Asia somewhere.
Some sort of viper bite.
Yep. Although I did see a social media post where he was actually upright on a stage with a microphone, so he was at least okay for a brief
How was his hair?
moment. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic as always. Can't really comment on Gnome's hair because, as usual, wearing
a hat.
And can't really comment on Mike's hair because he just doesn't have any.
Yeah, he's bald.
Yeah, very bald. Let's see. No, first
If he
thing
was
that
on
I
a
had.
bus behind a few bald people, it would be like the planets aligning. It's the first time in several hundred years that Mercury,
my
Venus,
goodness.
Earth, Mars have all aligned.
What planet would
I'm Morgan Freeman, and we are here to discuss the aligning of all the planets with Mike Brings the D. Morgan. All right.
So, no. Speaking of all of the members of Brew Skies, which I'm going to throw Gnome into now, he is now part of Brew Skies.
Yeah. Just wait till you get the call.
One of us is going to get the call. We have to.
Well,
me
you-
because I'm a Patreon. Yeah,
Well,
you'll get
you'll get the
You're
call
right.
to be on.
And I will
because
say,
whoever takes Brett's place has to do all the research.
this is true. This is true. Although I will say, since I'm a Patreon subscriber to Brew Skies,
Yeah.
that guarantees you a spot to co-host. Apparently,
Very good.
If they do, I'm going to say I will do it, but not without Marco.
Well, that's awesome.
We're a team. I mean, that's just how it is.
Do you have a boot bigger than the boot that?
No, and that was my first note. Is Gnome is no Brett, but this week his is bigger than Mike's.
That's right.
That was a hell of a
Holy
big boot.
shit!
Oh my god! Like he. Okay,
Joe
so this
would
was
have to
another,
ask somebody else
you
to
need
hand
have
it
like
to him.
5 hands. Right.
That boot. That
This-
was like. That was like. I don't know. Like.
That was like at
if
least a 3 or 4 liter
Someone took a
boot. That
cast
was-
of Travis Kelsey's foot and calf. It was like, hold on a second. Good God.
Oh my god! No kidding. He brought that thing out. He just set it down. This was another. Right, the noise that it made when he said it, he had to hold it. He had to drink it with 2 hands. Like he even commented at some point during the show, like, "Am I?"
He bought his own
how do I-"
Narragansett because it was so big. He had to
He's like-
fill it himself.
Right. Well, I mean, you're filling that thing with like it takes like a 12-pack to fill that damn boot. My God, that was absolutely
God.
amazing. Oh, the humanity. This was similar to Cincy Brewcast. I actually laughed out loud multiple times during this episode. The chemistry.
They did a great job.
They
It was a
did.
good
They did.
episode.
The
Gnome was a
chemistry's-
good host.
The chemistry's not 100% the same as
It's
Mike and
not.
Brett.
It's not.
But it's a different kind, and it is just as amazing to watch.
Oh,
So
yes.
if you're not already
Yes.
watching this after listening to us crack up over
What
it,
the hell are you
come
doing?
on. Oh my God. So, no, in the very beginning, Gnome started exposing the truth behind the Brew Skies bar. He's like,
Yeah.
dude, this is all shit behind the camera. Like, none of this is
It's like-
good.
Yeah.
Like, the bar looks good. The stuff that the camera focuses on is good. Which, did you notice a couple of the new things behind the bar this week?
No, I don't think so.
Or they might not have been new, but I noticed them for the first time. There is, because we haven't mentioned it at all yet this episode, so I've got to do it. There was a West Side can.
Yeah.
They had the can that was shot through from their video about the whole Sapporo thing. That was out there. Absolutely phenomenal. When my Joshua was watching the video, he goes, why the hell is there an Andy Bashir sign behind them?
That was last week.
I mean, that's been there for a bit, but he saw that. There is always something cool to find when you're looking at the set behind them, but no one was focusing on what's in front of. Well, I guess it would be behind the camera, not in front
for
of the
anybody
camera.
who's a fan of older Tom Hanks movies, it's as if they're recording in the money pit, and
Oh my
it's
God.
the only nice part of the actual place is where they're recording. Like there's a giant hole where
There's a rat over in the corner. There's like
there's a giant hole just past the camera where you can't see where Brett is just laughing hysterically down into the what is
down below
essentially
into
the
Urban
basement.
Art. Yeah.
Down below.
The garbage can moment, absolutely amazing.
Perfect.
It was so good. It was so incredibly good. The one of the first stories that Gnome started off with was amazing. How many breweries piss in their beer? I mean,
But none of the ones that I have ever been a part of.
That you
just
know
to let
of?
you know.
well, all that you've been.
Well, I was the brewer. I mean,
But were you the only brewer? Were you the only person that ever had access to
No.
the grain? So how do you know?
I think that regardless of the fact that if this
It is amazing
urine,
we're talking about this.
if this urine happens prior to the boil phase, that the end product will not be of any consequence. Which is proven in a documentary where they take water out of a duck pond and make beer. But nonetheless, human waste should not be in your beverage.
Correct.
Whether it's from
Correct.
start or at finish. It just shouldn't happen.
Right, absolutely. And I am not arguing or questioning that.
Well, I
in
didn't
any
think you
way,
were going to
shape, or
defend
form.
it.
Okay, let's get back to Brew Skies boost.
Please.
Please, let's do this. The main point or the main topic of this episode,
gonna that's gonna make it
no,
in
no, no, no,
Patreon?
no, no, oh,
No.
no, oh, that part, sure, maybe,
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely.
I mean, it has
we
to.
don't.
You're welcome, Elijah.
Patreon. Hey, Elijah, you wanted some normalcy. This is normal for
you
us.
Want,
So
you want
my
some extra
God.
content? There you go, buddy.
Oh my God.
You're in talk. And not you are in. That's not a contraction.
Oh, I'm dying.
Oh my
I am
God.
dying.
And
All
we
right.
just didn't get out of the pool, so there's not a contraction there either.
To tie into the subject of this episode, until the producers change it, because they do that fairly regularly. So you can't trust what we
What?
say to be the actual
Yeah, what is
subject
up
title.
with that? Anyway, let's just move
What's
on.
up with
Let's
that?
what's up with that?
What's up with that?
that?
Most Gen Zers, which is they're born roughly between the years 1996 through 2010.
They're
They can't
born. We
even-
don't have to say roughly. We don't
They
know
can't
how they
even
were
dr-
born.
but for what they were talking about, they can't even drink yet. So why are people so fucking concerned about their drinking habits? Half of them can't
Well, it's because
It's
Julia.
not-
I mean, when you were prior to drinking age, you would go and find a way to drink. And,
I actually never did. I was
Well, no,
I
I
was,
mean,
I was
people of your
lame
ilk,
as fuck.
of
Yeah.
your age.
True.
People
Okay.
of your
Yeah,
age.
Fair.
People my age could drink legally at 18.
I was gonna say, depending on where you are.
But we were
sure,
drinking
sure.
at 15, 16,
16.
whatever, as one does.
You were still drinking
as
at
one
an
does
age when
in,
you weren't legally allowed.
living in New Orleans. I mean,
True
that's-
that. True that.
That happens. I don't know why Scout Camp just doesn't sell alcohol. I mean, we had to take it in. I mean,
See, Girl Scouts, so all we did was snuck candy bars into our pillowcases for camp. We
watch
didn't try
Gilmore Girls and shit.
No, this was rugged camp. There were no TVs, no whatever. We just
So go ahead. Let's. What else are we getting into here?
Gen Z, basically, it's a whole bunch of bullshit stats because half of them can't drink anyway. So why is anyone concerned about Gen Z and their drinking habits yet?
Because
And
we
that-
believe that children are our future, and we're supposed to teach them well and let them lead the way, and
Couldn't
hopefully
have said it better myself.
showing all the
Wow.
beauty that they possess inside. However,
Wow.
what's going on is they are less and less interested about the shit their older siblings or their parents were interested in. They want to sit around and watch people play video games online. Mm-hmm. They want to play their own video games and build imaginary, imaginary buildings and cities, and not participate in working life. And they don't like to. Other than weed, they don't want to admit that they're taking part in anything that alters their status, unless they're going to unlimited brunch, where they just let their hair down, figuratively, because most of them have either small buzz cuts or mullets, and they
or it's super long. You're gonna, mistake me for a brewer type hair.
Correct, and then what they do is they just drink until they vomit.
So
it's not a healthy relationship.
But this is going back to last week, though. So you brought up a good question that I just thought of from last week's episode of Brew Skies. There was in San Francisco specific restaurants.
Where?
San Fran. They were talking about how at this restaurant, there's now a vomit fee if you throw up onto your table instead of go out into the bushes a respectable human being.
Wouldn't have thought about it, but there should be.
They never clarified if the vomiting is because of alcohol consumption or are they serving bad eggs?
Yeah.
So maybe booze isn't the problem for any
And by
of
serving
this.
bad eggs, we mean, are they over-serving bad people? Not, are they serving bad eggs?
Well, no, or literally is the food they're serving.
Oh, green eggs.
Right. Like, what if
green eggs and green ham?
If there are
that's a problem. If you serve green ham, you're gonna get vomit.
If there are so many instances of vomit at these restaurants that they have to impose a fee for vomiting at your table, is it because of booze or are you serving them bad food? Anyway, that was last week's episode.
We gotta go.
Something to
10
think
minutes
about.
And we have to leave.
Yes, let's go. Oh, kind of tied into why are we concerned with Gen Z when they're not even drinking yet?
Fuck them.
We're drinking the same amount that we were in 1940 per capita.
I wasn't alive in 1940, but I feel like I'm still carrying the torch.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
You're welcome.
Let's see other notes. The THC weed, the chemical in weed that it has the psychotropic effects, loopholes, and are these breweries or are these distributors or are these THC beverage producers starting to fade out? Or is it just going to get stronger? Are there just kind of like random instances of major distributors of THC beverages saying, you know what, we're not going in that direction anymore? Does that speak for the entire industry? Or
it is weird because I feel like if you have a line graph or if you have a graph and there's different color lines, I feel like weed, generally accepted weed in social culture, I feel like the line is on a upward trajectory.
For those of us in Ohio, it's on the ballot in November to potentially legalize recreational. Yeah.
So recreational weed consumption or recreational weed as far as a socially acceptable, thing is also on the rise. Why is the biggest distributor punting
right
on it?
exactly
why are they getting out of the business?
Right.
It's weird. It's interesting. I don't know why. I feel like this is something that is not just coming on but is going to stick around. It is blazing the trail for essentially forever.
Right. Agreed.
So why are they getting out?
Right. What is exactly? That's kind of that whole why. What are you seeing that other parts of the industry might not be seeing? They moved from that into Kentucky's ABC law, which are liquor shops that can buy
Already been
and then
chewed?
resell Already been chewed. Absolutely. You want some ABC gum?
Yeah.
No, I do not. Buy and resell old liquor, like say you find in your grandpa's house he has 3/4 of a bottle of, super old Pappies or whatever the case may be. In Kentucky, they have a law that you can sell that to a liquor store that if they have the right license, they can resell pours of that or even the entire bottle to another individual. Legislation was written completely terribly, and surprisingly, people found loopholes. So now they're using it for not the intended purpose.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Are you saying that people found a way to misinterpret or not follow a law?
No. Not that they're not following the law. That's the fun thing. They're following it to the letter, which means there are gaps in what the Commonwealth of Kentucky
I love gaps.
indicated. Who doesn't?
Yeah, gaps are
and
great.
boobs.
Gaps and boobs. Wonderful.
That could be another Patreon exclusive.
Or a
little
spin-off
snippet.
podcast.
Or, gaps and boobs.
Gaps and boobs. Let's go, Julia.
Oh, my God. What are we doing?
So, look, you just got to, just see what works.
Embrace the weird.
Just
It's
lean
true.
into it and see what works.
Throw the spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Truth Beer Pot is stuck.
Throw, something that's going to stick in a gap.
Like these floral coasters. No, we know that doesn't work if you throw them.
No, it
doesn't stick.
No.
We've done that before. I still don't think Josh has found
How?
the coaster. Speaking of. So, Josh, when you listen to this, there may be a hidden coaster somewhere in our house. Can you find it? Or not?
All right.
Amazing. All right, other things that...
5 minutes.
5 minutes? All right, I have 2 notes and then the sip count for this episode. The non-alcoholic story of the week. Elon Musk apparently offered Wikipedia $1 billion.
Fake.
That's with a B.
Fake news.
I don't care. It's a fake story, but they talked about it. So do we want to leave it at that and not let people know what he offered Wikipedia
Nope.
$1 billion to do?
Let's leave it.
Okay. All right. Watch this. This episode is hilarious and absolutely amazing.
Funny.
If you
Hilarious.
have ever wanted to watch Gnome have to, two-hand his beverage container to drink from it, you've got to watch this.
It's great.
And then
but the content is great.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. Absolutely.
It's smart. It's funny.
But the comedic moments just emphasize
fantastic.
that so much more. And then the question of the week, what is the weirdest place you've ever woken up after drinking? Which led to another absolutely amazing discussion about what would you do, especially living in college towns or other potential areas that finding a stranger sleeping in your porch swing after a heavy night of drinking for them, what would you do? Absolutely fantastic. I don't have any of those because I just was lame growing up, but
I like to think I was lame. I had 1 or 2 situations where that weren't cool, but it wasn't where I woke up somewhere.
Completely random.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm lame.
No,
we can.
We just ended up being more responsible than similar people that we were hanging out with.
You might have been.
Relatively
You might have been.
speaking.
Yeah, relatively
Oh, my
speaking.
gosh.
But
Yeah.
it's fun. It was a fun episode. Great job, Gnome.
They're always great.
No,
Yeah, I'll
reason why if Brett can't be on that you have proven your co-host abilities,
Yes.
and I am here
Yes.
for it, sir.
I'm looking forward to the Brett and Mike dynamic coming back.
Sure.
I think that's coming back next week, but man, Gnome
as
is
long
such
as
another
they're able to.
deflate Brett's head from the malaria.
Yeah, and then I don't know if they need a syringe to take out the venomous snake bite from his private parts, and then if he's able to come back.
But we may still have Gnome in the peanut gallery sitting in the hole in the floor, like screaming things from the background next episode.
Yes.
So you never know.
You never know.
So watch this episode and all of their episodes. They are phenomenal. And also follow the Brew Skies podcast. Hopefully we'll have some new episodes coming up within the next century or
Hopefully.
two. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Did you have any other notes before I give the sip count for episode. Well, there's really no episode number, but the episode that was published October 30th of 2020.
The episode that was published. No,
That's weird.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right, there were a total of 25 sips,
Okay.
which is, by our definition, 50 ounces
50
of
ounces,
liquid
yeah.
consumed, which translates to 3.125 pints. And I will say, I am pretty sure, just by the visualizations, no one was getting a full 2 ounces per sip out of
Nice.
that boot. Like when you watch
He was going for it.
he was going for it. So, Gnome, we appreciate you.
We appreciate you. You know that.
Oh,
but
God, yeah.
We're
Yep.
going to say it
We're
again.
gonna say it, yeah. Was there anything else you had for anything that we talked about tonight before we wrap this up and get our Halloween started? Because we are about to get our spooky on.
Yeah, we're about to go get our spooky
I'm
on.
drinking a black seltzer. I mean, how much more spooky can that get?
You know what, everybody? Thank you for coming on this journey with us. Truly appreciate your listenership, and we are going to have a really, really fun lead up to end of the year. Hang with us, stick with us, and let's continue to have fun. Thank you very much. Go follow Cincy Beer Events. Tell your friends, tell your mom, and help us with the new generation of craft beer drinkers. Share it with everyone. And anyways, that's fun.
All right, yeah, and if kind of to tie into that, follow us on social media. We are pretty much everywhere at Truth Beer Pod. You can send us an email about anything you want and everything you want, truthbeerpod@gmail.com. If you want to find out about Patreon and hear our unedited episodes, which have, oh my God, so much random tangents and content and things that we probably shouldn't be saying out loud.
I have promised that at least 40% of that extra, 100% is funny.
Yes.
And I stand by that comment.
Yeah,
that
I agree.
40% of the extra 100% is funny.
It's either patreon.com/truthbeerpod or just go to our website, truthbeerpod.com. That has links to absolutely everything that we have out there.
The other thing I would say is that if you don't think any of this is funny, pay to be a Patreon, and then you'll finally find the funny.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Subscribe just for a month and get the content. And then if you don't
Decide
like the
for
content,
yourself.
then don't subscribe the next month. That's fine. That's fine. Try it and then decide for yourself, like Marco just said. I think that's pretty much all we have.
That's it.
Marco, what are you going to be doing next Tuesday?
I plan on being here with you doing this. Things are kind of crazy, so I hope that's the case.
All right, sounds good. I will
Cheers.
see you. Cheers.